Hello, this is Shaina. Today, my team partner Tushar and I are going to talk about a mental health topic of procrastination and everything to do about it. So, without further ado, let's just hop right into it. So, let me start off by explaining what is procrastination. Procrastination is the action of unnecessarily and voluntarily delaying or postponing something despite knowing that there will be negative consequences for doing so. Before I get into the effects of procrastinating, let me highlight the key differences between active procrastination and passive procrastination. So, active procrastination is when people purposefully delay action because they work well under pressure, while passive procrastination is the type most people think of, where individuals find themselves paralyzed by their inability to complete a task on time. Some experts claim that active procrastination may not pose the same negative consequences as passive procrastination. It could be constructive. Hopping back to the topic, so there's pros of procrastination that our active procrastination may not harm our mental health. It gives us time to plan, lets us finish other tasks, and requires us to work more efficiently. And it also increases our motivation. While the cons of procrastination are it links other health problems like insomnia, digestive issues, muscle tension, pain, etc. It makes us put off regular health checkups. It also lowers our academic and job performances, and it does make us feel bad because of all of the above. Believe it or not, the internet did not give rise to procrastination. People have struggled with habitual hesitation going back to ancient civilizations. These days, we may procrastinate when we are unable to manage negative feelings around a task such as boredom, anxiety, insecurity, frustration, resentment, and self doubt. This is especially true when we have task aversion. We tend to give in to our distractions for instant gratification. Procrastination is often confused with laziness, but in fact, they are quite different from each other. Procrastination is an active process where one chooses to do something else instead of the task that they are supposed to be doing. In contrast to it, laziness suggests apathy, inactivity, and an unwillingness to act. Laziness is when one convinces themselves that the work they're doing is not important. Procrastination, on the other hand, usually involves ignoring an unpleasant but likely more important task in favor of one that is more enjoyable or easier at the moment. There are five different behavioral styles of procrastination that make up our list of the five types of procrastinators, and they are the perfectionist, the dreamer, the avoider, the crisis maker, and the busy bee. The perfectionists are the ones who pay too much attention to the minor details. They are afraid to start the task at hand because they get stressed out about getting every single detail right. An advice for the perfectionist would be instead of letting their obsession with details take up all their time, they should be clear about the purpose of their task and assign a time limit to each detail with this type of procrastination. This will force them to stay focused and finish their task within the given time frame. A dreamer is someone who enjoys making the ideal plan more than taking action. They are highly creative but find it hard to actually finish a task. An advice for a dreamer would be to stop yourself from being carried away by your endless imagination with this type of procrastination. Get your feet back on the ground by setting specific and achievable goals for each day. Set a goal and break down the plan into small tasks that you can take action on right away. An avoider is scared to take on tasks that they think they can't manage. They would rather put off work than be judged by others when they end up making mistakes. An advice for an avoider would be to focus on the worst to tackle task and spend their morning working on what they find the most challenging. This will give them a sense of achievement and it helps them build momentum for a productive day ahead. Try to break down your tasks into smaller subtasks. Understand how much time and energy is really needed for a given task and make realistic calculations for it. The crisis maker deliberately pushes back work until the very last minute. They find deadlines exciting and believe that they work best when working under pressure, which causes them to manage their time poorly. Being forced to rush the work because you think you will perform better is just an illusion, because it actually leaves you with no room for reviewing the work to make it better afterwards. If you always leave work until the very last minute, maybe try using the Pomodoro technique. The busy bee type of procrastinators are usually the fussy ones. They have trouble prioritizing tasks because they either have way too many of them or refuse to work on what they see as unworthy of their effort. They don't know how to choose the task that's best for them and simply postpone making any decisions. And advice for the busy bee procrastinator would be that you have to get your priorities straight when you run into this type of procrastination. Important tasks should take priority over urgent ones because urgent doesn't necessarily always mean important. You only have so much time and energy, and you don't want to waste that on things that don't matter. Identify the purpose of your task and expected outcome. Important tasks are the ones that add value in the long run.
So till now we've learned what procrastination is, the effect it has on us, and the psychology of it. Let us now get into what are the causes of procrastination, or what are the root causes of procrastination. So some of the main causes of procrastination are perfectionism, avoidance, low self-esteem, decision pending, and having no clear goal of what you're trying to do. Now, let us talk about two of these root causes in a little bit more detail. First one, decision pending. What is it? When the individual has more than one option and cannot take the right choice because they feel that if they choose one, they're going to be making the wrong choice. We call that decision pending. It is very similar to being indecisive. The other, avoidance. What is avoidance? Neglect of work due to it being a large project or due to it being a very strenuous process. We call that avoidance. These are some of the root causes that lead to procrastination. One of the major misconceptions about procrastination is that it is a mental illness. This is absolutely wrong. Procrastination is not a mental illness. It is, however, very straining to the individual as they spend too much time thinking about unnecessary things, and this poses big problems, especially when you have a major decision to be made. But procrastination is not a mental illness. It is, however, a characteristic feature of some mental health issues. As we discussed in the previous slide, procrastination is not a mental illness, but it is, however, a characteristic feature for some mental illnesses. Let us talk about a few of them now. Mental illnesses like ADHD, eating disorders, anxiety, depression all have symptoms of procrastination. Why is that so? Because it is an avoidance strategy. Avoidance strategies create psychological pain. So then that leads to anxiety, and that further leads to depression and to all these other things that people are calling and seeking counseling for. Now we come to if procrastination has a cure. Strictly speaking, procrastination does not have a complete cure which can rid the person from said procrastination. But there are many ways to control procrastination. Instead of asking this question, let us switch up the question. Does procrastination need a cure? Honestly, it is impossible to cure procrastination, and no matter what you work on, you're not working on everything else. So this question is much suited. Sometimes an adequate job is what is needed compared to an elaborate and laid out one. This just shows that procrastination doesn't always have to be a bad thing. Sometimes we just have to see the good in procrastination and help use procrastination for your benefit. And with that, we come to the end of this PPT. Another major question asked is procrastination and trauma related? And the answer is yes. When asked by a psychiatrist, this was his response. Procrastination isn't about lack of self-control or poor time management. It's an emotional response to the task at hand.